We're going to talk today about an extremely important topic, necessary reckoning of corporate America. A good friend of mine, classmate, Reverend William Barber, says that there is a consciousness awakening and you cannot put it back in the box. And right after that, he asked a very important question. And that question is, what kind of country sees Black Lives Matter as a radical idea and Black suffering and death as unremarkable? Let me ask that question again. What kind of country sees Black Lives Matter as a radical idea and Black suffering and death as unremarkable? The necessary reckoning of corporate America begins with leadership, because all roads lead to and from leadership. Reckoning of corporate America starts by challenging all assumptions. There are no sacred cows here. Everything and everyone is subject to challenge. This is done not with the purpose of destroying them, but bring out light so that we can actually see. We need to see how effective the tools are, the skills, and if they are relevant for today's reality. That will serve the purpose to which we must all dedicate our personal and our collective power, to that of creating a commonly shared reality that provides a better quality of life for all members of the human race and paves the way for further and consistent development. See, it's based upon recognition and celebration of the human spirit, something we all have in common. We are at a pivotal time in our history. The global pandemic happening. We've had George Floyd. We've had Breonna Taylor. We've even had the planned kidnapping of a governor of one of our states and the death of Elijah McClain in Aurora, Colorado. We are at the intersection of intellect and instinct. We are at a time when we need to become more human, and corporations need to become more responsive to the needs of all people in society. It is the time for the necessary reckoning of corporate America. We are at a time where organizations and individuals should be evaluating and re-evaluating their purpose. The purpose precedes the first step of every journey, both personal and organizational. To connect with purpose, organizations and individuals need to go within, asking themselves, why are we doing this? When our purpose is more about others and the gifts of time and talent and treasure that we give generously to others, it makes our why even more enduring. In fact, as leadership guru Daniel Goleman would say, we have to reimagine tomorrow with positive thinking. It has to be a strong foothold in reality and a deep sense of purpose. This is how we create meaning amid uncertainty and as ambiguity abounds. This is how individuals and organizations begin the necessary reckoning so needed in our society. The necessary reckoning of corporate America is needed for many reasons. One, diversity, inclusion, and equity has missed the mark in corporate America since its construct in the 1980s. We have gender pay issues. CEOs claiming they can't find qualified African Americans to work with him one day and the next day he's apologizing. We have challenges from the LGBTQ area of our society. Millennials, they enter the workforce with their own set of demands. To effectively deal with these, corporate America needs a necessary reckoning. Dr. Eddie Glaude Jr. at Princeton University puts it so elegantly: we have a value gap in this country. Certain lives are more important in the lives of others. And that's a major issue in society. And specific about it. The fact that white lives appear to be more important than any others is an issue we need to address, and we need to address it immediately. Sure, there are a few minorities in the C-suite and positions in Fortune 500 companies. Those numbers are abysmal. Sure, we've had an African-American president. But we still face these issues we face today. You know, there are at least 38 women who lead Fortune 500 companies. Only 4 African Americans at present time lead Fortune 500 companies. And in the history of the Fortune 500, there have been African American CEOs talk about the needed reckoning of corporate America. When we examine the number of African Americans on board of directors, we find that it gets worse. We can use our fingers and maybe even our toes to count the number of African Americans on board of directors in corporations. See, African Americans account for about 12% of the US population, but only occupy 3.2% of senior leadership roles in large companies in the US. And that's according to the Center for Talent Innovation, which is a workplace think tank in New York City. You ask yourself why there's a needed reckoning or necessary reckoning of corporate America. The value gap Dr. Gloyd speaks of is a result of fears that exist. And the bad thing about fears, laws cannot change fears. What can change those fears is getting close to what is feared. That means that human beings have to get closer to other human beings. As I mentioned earlier, all roads lead to and from leadership. For those who serve in the capacity as teachers of leaders or executive coaches and trusted advisors, this is a time of immense opportunity. The transformation of leadership is needed for the necessary reckoning of corporate America to be successful. See, behavior change, perceptual change, and emotional intelligence, all of these areas can be impacted by the teachers of leaders as they work with leaders on a day-to-day basis. Again, this is a pivotal moment in the coaching history and the coaching arena. All need to step up to understand how necessary reckoning of corporate America is needed, and it happens through the road of leadership. See, this necessary reckoning of corporate America is really a call to arms. It's about finding and implementing solutions, not placing the blame and shame for problems. It's about a movement that must be deep within each and every one of us to help societal problems like diversity, equity, inclusion. We need to stop paying lip service to this. The necessary reckoning of corporate America is a transformation of belief and thinking to solve the problems that we, not they, have created. It is time to expand the parameters of our own perception and see each other as human, remove the labels that objectify and dehumanize each other. The necessary reckoning of corporate America is to tap into the power it possesses, and only then, individually and collectively, can we successfully increase the quality of our reality, creating an environment that is conducive for sustainable personal and collective growth. This should serve as a wake-up call for the necessary reckoning of corporate America. We must step up to the plate and claim our part of the responsibility for seeking solutions. There is no hiding place. There are no excuses. This reckoning must address all racial issues, all gender issues, political issues, religious issues, and all those other barriers that we have erected between various segments of the human race. We are the ones who built the walls. It's up to us to expand the power necessary to tear them down and replace them with bridges of trust strong enough to support the truth. Corporations to lead this transformation. The reckoning is a cry to corporate America to help improve our educational system. It should help revitalize our schools with positive energy and courses that teach our children real life skills. It is time to let go of what is no longer working. It's no longer applicable in today's reality. It's time to revise an archaic system filled with dusty ideas and false promises. It's time to replace old courses of the past with innovative and skilled-based individual talent, where people can build life plans built upon those courses and have a sense of self-fulfillment that help them become positive contributors to society while being more human. The necessary reckoning of corporate America is needed because we know that in this society, money is power. There is nowhere is there so much of this as in the corporate world. It's time for corporations to give back some of the incredible amounts of money and power they have taken away from society. It is time for corporations to re-engineer more than just their processes to improve their individual bottom profit lines, contribute to the knowledge, the skills, and conducive to the consistent and continuous improvement of the quality of life of all human beings. All of us in every society, in every part of the world, have a role to play. We have seen the developments in this world, and we have either chosen to be a part or chosen to ignore them. Now is not the time for selective ignorance. It's time to broaden our perceptions and grasp the opportunity to make a difference in our lives and a difference in the lives of others. It's time that we all begin to assume the responsibility of improving our lives in the world in which we live. It is time that we recognize our differences as a source of increased perception rather than barriers. It's time we all get off our individual and collective butts and begin contributing and constructing rather than denouncing and destroying. It's time that we come together. It's time that we recognize and celebrate the human spirit and tap into this incredible source of unlimited potential, redirecting our energy, time, and efforts towards more constructive and meaningful purposes. It's time for the reckoning of corporate America. And see, by doing so, by broadening our horizons, we can begin to see what our potential really is. If we combine the potential by honestly committing ourselves to taking action, which is consistently fair and ethical, we can commit ourselves fully. These set new beliefs corporations will lead as it relates to making humanity better. As we learn about how we communicate and interact with others and include others in our thinking, we can define our life's goal collectively and plan how to achieve our goals and create methods through which we can ensure success. And finally, by not giving up, meaning we are going to persevere, being open to change, being pliable, we will be able to sustain our efforts, ensure that we are all headed in the right direction. And that direction will be led by the necessary reckoning of corporate America. See, this nation has experienced startling racial and gender warsheds before. And of course, each and every time, it is the African American gains that are stifled long before full equality is achieved. So the time is now for the necessary reckoning of corporate America. I welcome each and every one of you. I challenge you to challenge yourself and challenge your organizations and challenge all leaders across all society. Head up this necessary reckoning of corporate America so that we can be more human.